Local history. Local culture. Local events. Your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. We're going to be talking to Mike Bosak. Mike is a very active member of the Landmark Society of Greater Utica. We'll be talking about the Obelston. There's a big project going on down there. We'll be talking about the YMCA. There's the old YMCA. There's a project going on down there. We'll also be talking about some Landmark's upcoming events. But before we do any of that, we're going to say welcome, Mike. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Joe.
Good. Lots of things are happening.
Very much so.
Yeah. Let's start off with the Obelston. Huge project.
It is a huge project. Long time in coming. I mean, that building is definitely historic and certainly iconic, and we were concerned about it for a very long time. And it was looking like we might lose it. It was getting that bad. But fortunately, things turned around, and Liberty Affordable Housing purchased it, and they're in the process of renovating it. Very extensive renovation, complete gut. And it's going to be a really great project when done. Looking like about July right now.
I was in there. I haven't been in there as it's being renovated, but I was in there before it was renovated. My God, Mike, I didn't think that building could have been saved.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. But they're doing it right. They're doing it according to State Historic Preservation Office guidelines, historic tax credits. So they are saving everything they can, saving the marble, putting it back in. Just a great job.
I don't think a lot of people realize what a glorious building that was back in the day. It went up in what, the 1890s, 1900s, right in there.
1900 is when it was completed, and actually is on the site of a previous building that burned down, Genesee Flats, which was the same footprint but actually a little bit taller. So they rebuilt it on the same site. An architect by the name of Richard George designed it, and designed it to be fireproof, obviously, with the tragic loss of life and the devastation that occurred in 1896 when the Genesee Flats apartment building burned down.
Boy, they got that Obelston up pretty quick, considering 1896 fire, and that it opened for residents in 1900.
1900. It took them 2 years because there were problems getting brick. There's just so much brick in that building, it's unbelievable. One thing that because I just took a tour of it recently, that I did not know about was that there are 7 light wells in there. So the way it's configured and all, you have these light shafts and all in the middle of the building that I never knew about.
The building as it appears on the facade is the same as the original, right?
It's similar, very similar.
Yeah.
It's got the wrought iron balconies and all that, which are in very good condition. They've been all certified, and they've actually raised the railing up a little bit to go with codes, and you can really not tell from the street.
There's a story, Mike, in fact, I think I wrote something about it years ago. Those faces on the facade of the building, there's little faces.
Yes, yes. If you won't see it if you drive by. Certainly if you walk by, you can look up at them. They're about between the first and second story, I think, and there are 4 faces there. They don't know the exact meaning or reason that they're there, but it's believed that they might represent the 4 people that perished in the Genesee Flats fire from several years before that.
You know, you talk about a fire, and you make me think of the fire that was across the street and a little bit south, and that was the Cantina.
Yes.
That was a huge
gigantic fire, yes. That building was also designed by Richard George as well, and it was similar in a lot of respects to the old Obelston. And I remember living on Waverly Place, looking at the back of that building, and I just had bad feelings about it. And in 1994, there was a devastating fire, and because of, I think there were dumbwaiter shafts and all that allowed the fire to go entirely through the building. And I remember that looking like a bombed out ruin after it was.
I remember standing out there when that building was on fire. It was just
Yes.
incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. The people that will be finishing up this, it's Gaetano, I know,
Yes.
construction's involved.
Yes.
A lot of construction jobs there.
Oh, tremendous number. I
Yeah.
don't know the exact number, but
Yeah.
there's a beehive of activity there.
And Mike, what were they doing? Was it removing asbestos from that building? I see they had a lot of, during the renovation, they had a lot of, well, not pipes exactly, but tubing coming out of there.
Yes, air change and all that, air changing and all that because of asbestos. They had to remove all of the plaster because of the amount of water damage and all that. They were trying to save as much as they could, but they couldn't. So they had to take it all out of there. A ridiculous number of tonnage of plaster.
The building itself, I give this analogy, I don't know if you agree or not, but had that building come down, it would have been like a smile with a tooth missing, you know?
Seriously, yes.
It just would have changed the whole demeanor of that section of Genesee Street.
You know, this is why Landmarks advocates for older buildings and all that, because it really provides a character and a context to the built environment. Architecture is built art. It is actually functional art. And we advocate for reusing these older buildings when they can be. I mean, they can't all be, but certainly when you can, and it takes a certain amount of money to do that. But I think it's very important to the character of the city to maintain these buildings and keep them up.
Somebody once told me, might have been somebody from the Landmarks, might have been you, that one of the keys to preserving these buildings is to get people back in them.
Yes.
And an example that was given to me was Union Station.
Yes. It's great to advocate for reusing older buildings. You have to have a purpose for it. You know, you just can't say, okay, let's renovate this building or keep it up and all that, but you need another use, which we're finding. You know, we're finding a lot of reuse of older buildings into restaurants, into apartment buildings now. We've always advocated for people living downtown because that's what makes a downtown vibrant, and we're seeing that now. 40 years later, we're seeing all this activity downtown.
The lofts have just taken off. I mean, every time I think, well, we can't use any more loft buildings, more
come online, yes.
Come online and get filled up. Incredible.
Right, and it's great. It's great.
The Commercial Travelers building is another one, right?
Fantastic, yes. They did a really good job with that. And there are commercial endeavors on the ground floor and all that, so that's a good thing.
When we come back, we got to talk a little bit about upcoming events for the Landmark Society. We've also, if you know, tell me when we come back, what kind of architectural style is that at the Obelston? Mike Bosak's our guest. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Mike Bosak's our guest. Mike, very active member of Landmark Society of Greater Utica, has been for many years. You ever president? You were president, weren't you? Not?
I was,
yeah,
a number of years ago.
Yeah. But you stay active, and there's a good time to be a member of Landmarks because of the landmarks that are being saved around town. What kind of architecture is that at the Obelston?
I would have to say that's probably a Richardsonian Romanesque, Romanesque revival and all. They tended to use, very heavy masonry, a sandstone brick and all that, so that's probably the closest.
I saw pictures back in the day of the Obelston, and there were turrets on the ends and in the middle. And then I don't know what happened, but over the years those turrets disappeared, but now they're back.
Yes.
And that's important, I guess, to bring the structure back to
Sure,
its...
sure. They were recreated with modern materials and all, and that's certainly an important feature of that building.
The original building had a restaurant in there, Mike.
On the 7th floor, yes. And the tenants could actually order meals and have them sent down. They had dumbwaiters in all the apartments, so they could have their meals sent down,
Wow.
and their dishes could go back up to the restaurant, and those dumbwaiters were closed many years ago.
Yeah. And I'm told that that area that was a restaurant will be a restaurant no more, but it'll be kind of like a community room.
Yes.
Okay.
It's quite a spectacular space, and what a view you get from there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Somebody was telling me just this morning what a great view that is.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is a tremendous view.
Is what are they going to do for parking?
They have a brand new parking lot for 30 or 50 cars directly behind the building.
Okay.
That was all put in, brand new.
And how many, do you know off the top of your head, Mike, how many apartments are going to be in there?
I think there are going to be 130 or so. I know that originally there were 92, then there were about 136. I think it's just a little under 140, I believe.
And as the years went by, they subdivided that place, right?
Yes, yes. Made three unit or bedroom apartments into smaller apartments and all that.
And the ones that are going to be in there now, Mike, am I correct? Studio, 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. What's Landmark up to these days? You've got some upcoming events, I know.
Well, this year marks our 50th anniversary in October. Actually, October 25th of this year will be 50 years since our charter. So we're spending the entire year kind of pre-celebrating the fact that we've been around for 50 years and advocating for the older buildings, architecture, adaptive reuse, and districts.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We are going to have a series of things going on, very busy agenda coming up. On Tuesday, February 20th, we're having our Winter Talk series. This is all at the Dunham Library in Whitesboro, and they start at 7, from 7 to 8 p.m.
That in itself is a landmark, that building.
Yes, yes. We definitely advocated for keeping the head house. I know there was some talk of taking it down, and they kept it, renovated it. It's so iconic and historic and such a part of not only the library, but the village of Whitesboro and all that they really needed to keep it. But
George Dunham, where the library gets its name, George Dunham, Utica newspaper publisher,
yes,
and did a lot for the area.
yes. But we're having a talk on White's Pottery. That's Tuesday, February 20th, again 7 p.m. at the Dunham Library from 7 to 8, and that's free and open to the public. And also Tuesday, March 26th, we're talking about Senator Francis Kernan, honest politician from Utica. Lou Parada is going to be
City historian.
Yes, yes. We also have what we call historic happy hours, and they're coming up. There's 2 of those scheduled. The first one is going to be the 15th of February, and that is going to be at the Iconic in the former Hotel Utica. And that
Now,
is,
for those who don't know, excuse me for interrupting, for those who don't know the Iconic,
right. Well, the Hotel Utica is now the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel Utica, which is a mouthful. And now the Iconic Restaurant by Chesterfield is the restaurant in the hotel. So that's $10 at the door to benefit the Landmark Society. There'll be hors d'oeuvres, there'll be cash bar, and we'll get a little history of the hotel and, you know, the operation and all that.
it's got quite a history too.
Again, that's Thursday, February 15th. And our second one will be Thursday, March 12th, and that's at the new Taylor & Cook in the former Children's Museum at 311 Main Street, Utica. If you haven't been in there, that's definitely something worth seeing.
The Hotel Utica, Mike, quite the history in itself.
Yes.
And if I recall correctly, it was the first fireproof hotel in Utica and for quite a ways around us.
Yes.
And built of brick. It also suffered over the years, but was brought back to life, and now you've got it operating.
Yes.
What about the lamplighter room? Are you old enough to remember the lamplighter room?
I remember the ads for the lamplighter room. I was much too young to go in there, but I do remember that being quite a place of discussion.
It was a great bar, the lamplighter room. And where the bar and restaurant are today aren't exactly where it was back in the day.
No.
It was more over toward the center. And I think they put an elevator in there or something, but it's a little bit different. But
Yes.
there's another example of a building being saved. Did we get through all your? Don't you have a bus trip or something?
We do have a bus trip coming up, and this is a big one. It's going to be May 4th, and we're going to take a bus from Utica to Canastota. And what we're going to see are a couple of really fascinating things. One is going to be the Greystone Castle, which was a former church built of limestone. It's absolutely gorgeous, looks like a castle. And it's been an event center for about 20 or 30 years. But what they've done with that building and how they preserved it and kept it, especially the attic space, which is, they call it the dungeon, but it's absolutely something to see. It's gorgeous. And I won't say much more about it, just that you have to see it. Then we're going to go to the Canal Town Museum.
And the same trip?
Yes, this is part of the same trip, which is only about a block away. It is a former bakery and residence that's right on the banks of the original Erie Canal, and find out a history about the Erie Canal. Next year, of course, will be the bicentennial of the opening of the Erie Canal. So I think that's kind of an important thing. We're going to have lunch at Theodore's, which is a nearby pretty famous restaurant, and then we're going to go to Peterborough to the Abolitionist Hall of Fame. That is a spectacular place. I've yet to see it, so this is going to be new for me as well. But this is where Garrett Smith, who was born in Utica and who also spent a lot of time at Rucker Park, was born basically down the street, moved to Peterborough, and that's where he started the National Abolitionist Hall of Fame. So we're going to see his residence, the meeting house where they actually had the first abolitionist meeting, and learn about the history of that.
This is not open, or is it just open to Landmarks
Oh,
members?
no, it's open to everybody.
And how much does it cost?
It's $70, includes the meal and all the admissions. And basically, you would get on our website or get on Facebook and all that to find out about details. But that's the gist of it.
Okay. When we come back, I got to ask you how much it costs to be a member of the Landmark Society. Mike Bosak's our guest. We're talking about landmarks. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Mike Bosak's our guest. Mike from the Landmark Society of Greater Utica. We're talking about a variety of topics. Mike, we went through some of the upcoming events for Landmarks, but there was one we didn't get to.
Yeah, so we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to have a Zoom program with a gentleman by the name of Rick Nexstar. He's a diver, an author, a pilot. He's got a huge resume. This is going to be on Tuesday, April 16th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. This is also going to be in the Dunham Library and in the community room. It's open to the public. We're asking for a free will donation of $10. But he dove down at the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Oh.
That ship, of course, was made famous by the Gordon Lightfoot ballad, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And basically, he went down there to dive on it and take a look at it. He's going to talk about his experiences. And this is something we've not done before, but I've been told that the program is very fascinating. This guy is an amazing guy to talk to, and he's got all kinds of stories.
Now, how do you do it, Mike? You're going to need to get a password or something to get on this, right?
Well, basically, we're going to go to the library, and it's going to be projected on a television screen.
Okay,
So-
good. So people like me don't have to worry about Zoom problems.
Right,
I always
exactly.
have a problem with Zoom, something I'm doing wrong or something. But in this case, you go to Dunham Public Library and all the work is done for you.
Exactly.
What does it take to become a member of Landmark Society?
Well, certainly the basic membership is $30, but we have different.
A year?
A year. For an individual, I think it's 54. Couple, there's a variety of different levels that you can join at, up to $1,000 or more donation-wise and all that. But the basic membership is $30 a person.
And one of the things that you get if you're a member is the a newsletter that I have in my hand.
Yes.
And there's a cover story written by you about the Veterans Outreach Center in downtown Utica, which I knew as the Utica YMCA.
Yes.
What's going on?
Well, they've done an excellent job. They've taken the old YMCA and have done a tremendous amount of work on it. It was not in great shape. Again, we talk about reusing old buildings and all that. They needed a new space. They needed a space. They needed a place that had not only amenities like gyms, like a gym, but also places for departments for homeless veterans. And this is the ideal situation. And they've been purchasing a number of buildings around that. Recently, I found out that they purchased 6 Steuben Park, which is a beautiful building on Steuben Park, part of the historic park. And they recently purchased the next door former Westminster Episcopal Church. And they're going to allow the congregation to worship there. Anyone can use it, and use the former school area for more apartments. The need is tremendous, and they haven't even scratched the surface. So this is a win-win. It's right next door to them. It's adaptively reusing an existing building that, trying to reuse churches is very difficult,
Right.
and that's a big one. That's a big church and a big footprint, and they're going to do a fantastic job with it.
So it's the driving force behind it is Mr. Scalise and the
Vince
Veterans
Scalise.
Center?
Yes.
Yeah. What shape is what I knew as the Y when I went up there as a boy? Had a beautiful gym. What shape is that in?
The gym is in great shape. I don't believe the pool is used. I think they closed the pool. But they did purchase the former YWCA as well, which is on Cornelia Street,
Right.
Not too far away. And they are going to reopen that pool.
When you say they, you mean the Veterans Center?
Yes, Veteran Outreach Center.
Yeah. And if you're looking at the old YMCA, the Veterans Outreach Center, on the right side, there's 2 entrances into that building. On the entrance on the right side, there was pool tables in there and ping pong tables and things. What's in there now?
That's kind of a community space for them as well. They serve meals out of there. There's a donation area for food donations and all.
And the Veterans Outreach Center, there seems to be, and I don't know any numbers on this, Mike, but there seems to be a big need for something.
There is.
Yeah.
There really is.
Yeah. And they serve hot meals down there?
They do. They do. They serve hot meals. They have several levels of advocacy. They have supportive services, which is great. Some people are there temporarily. Some people are there for a more permanent home. But they really do care.
And the YMCA that was there when I was young, that wasn't the first YMCA in Utica. There was another one. There was an older one.
No, there was an older one on the same site that was torn down to build the newer one in the late 40s, early 50s. And originally, I think they were up more toward Park Ave, the original YMCA building. You also mentioned 2 entrances. The one on the left is the new to you thrift store and all, so you can go and buy secondhand items and all that. That helps their cause.
Mike, I know you've been a student of the Union Station and you've been an advocate of Union Station. Anything going on down there that we ought to know about?
Well, it's still going on. It's a tremendous building, and the county, as I always say, has been a tremendous steward of that building. I know that there's still some concern about the REA wing, some kind of a use for it. We had mentioned uses and all that, and I know some sort of a farmer's market or year-round type of event like that, or type of a use like that might be the way to go. But you know, we're looking forward to keeping that going for another 100 and some odd years.
And the city of Utica really got started right down there by that REA
Well,
wing.
that's exactly where it started, right?
Yeah.
Fort Schuyler.
Yeah,
Just a little bit east of where Union Station is now.
yeah. The it's I think an example of what you talk about, and that is you got to find a purpose
Yes.
for it. And right now, I don't know if they do it in the winter or not, the farmers market.
No. Well, they did at some point. They did have them inside, but not so much now.
And I know the county executive, I've talked to him about it on this show, in that seat, was looking for ideas for
Yes.
that REA wing.
Yes.
So we'll
Not
see.
always easy. It's a difficult building to reuse because of its configuration. It's very narrow and very long, so it doesn't lend itself to very many things, but maybe a variety of mixed uses. I've seen other REA wings where they had their Amtrak station in there. Of course, ours is in the station. They've had little restaurants or breweries or whatever, that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
something related to tourism, I would imagine, is probably the way to go. But you know, when that building was built, it was built much larger than what was actually needed, because the New York Central Railroad was looking to make that a division point. It only lasted about 8 months, and then they went back to 3 divisions. So a lot of that building wasn't used for many, many years.
Yeah, and REA, of course, was a forerunner of
UPS.
Amazon and Prime and UPS and
Yes.
FedEx and all
Yes.
that. Mike, always good to see you. Thanks.
Absolutely.
That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week. Don't forget cnyhomepage.com. Lots of good stuff there. Until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.